You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 261 episodes. We're getting close to 300. It's getting closer and closer. But without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Volta Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, it's been a very wild and very interesting last hour plus here in the Vold household, but we won't spare anybody the boring details of life that is within itself. But we do have some big things coming our way here tonight with the show, and we're not talking about the Hall of Shame at all.
That is absolutely correct, by the way. Yes, Hall of Shame is tonight, and yes, that involves a guy that's been on our list for a long time, nonetheless. That being urbanmeyer. A lot to discuss about that. You know, some people would argue, and people have on our social medias, rightfully so, about all the success he had in college football and everything like that, which is very true. But we'll talk about that at length come our special segment. So, Voldy, before we get things started off, you know, I think it's time to show the zoners what we currently, or excuse me, you have been currently working on. Voldy, what do you got for the zoners?
So I've been working behind the scenes on a few things for all our great zoners. Of course, for those that, you know, want to take part in, you know, supporting the show, supporting everything that we do here over the last 5 years. It's been great. You know, all the apparel that we've had, obviously what you see on me is certainly a small representation. And of course, we do have a large selection of headwear available for those to want to be a part of the show. Of course, in our colors, a couple different variations, but like one thing has always been missing and something that I've always wanted to do, but now finally have within my grasp to do so. How do we support our favorite sports podcast while also supporting our favorite Minnesota sports teams? Well, now you certainly can with a new selection of MinneZona Sports Live hats. Let's start it off right here. We've got Minnesota Vikings purple and gold available there for you. That's right. In the MinneZona Sports Live, that is purple. Don't let the lighting fool you. But of course, it is hockey season as well. We got to get your Minnesota Wild in there with the dark green and the Cardinal red. I was turned on to that. It is Cardinal, not Scarlet. It's also still Gopher sports season as well. Got to get it there for the Sky Umar with the local Gophers right there. And of course, by special request, of course, we do have a large contingent of fans that still represent their alma mater, one being, of course, DJ Matty C. St. Thomas Academy, we've got you covered as well.
Yes, sir!
With the cadets will represent right there, a little bit of blue, a little bit of silver, and that white. St. Thomas Academy is also represented there. We've got a limited number of these. I've got some. Matt's going to be getting some for all those St. Thomas cadets out there as well. Matt's going to have all these hats. We do have a handful of them. Reordering is going to be a little bit based upon demand right now. I already know a couple people. Matt's told me that the St. Thomas color scheme is going to go out quicker than we brought it in as well. So these hats are available. It's $20, $5 shipping on top of it. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Matt. Reach out to whomever. Get these hats. Again, got St. Thomas Academy. We got the Gophers. We got the Wild. We got the Vikings also. We got some more things coming in as well. Couple different styles, couple different colors. Hopefully sooner than later we'll have them. And I almost forgot as well. Of course, if you just want to keep things simple, we do just have the plain old black and red. Well, what makes this one so much different than just any other one? Oh, wait. What's that? That's right. You can keep it in the zone right there for you on the side of the hat. That is available.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
These ones right here, they are snapback hats as well. This one is a strap back, if you will, with the Velcro on top of it. So there you go. Got that available. And, of course, we do have all the other colors and variations as well. The Hunter Orange, we got the 5th anniversary, the Digi Camo, the safety green, all that. We got a lot of hats. And, of course, winter hats.
A lot of hats. That's for sure.
Don't forget winter hats. They're still available.
Yes, winter hats. I did wear my winter hat the other day. It was very chilly.
I did too. I wore mine.
It was So if you guys want to be like, you know what, we got to support the guys. We got you covered. Voldy, fantastic with the hats. They look fantastic. Can't wait.
There's more coming. There's
more
Hopefully
coming
soon.
Just saying.
Hopefully soon.
Just saying. So keep an eye out. We'll keep you posted on that. And that being said, speaking of merch stuff, pick 'em. Yes. Voldy. This week is a prize week. This week is, in fact, the prize week. What can the Zoners win this week in Pick'em?
We've got
Yes,
Sweatpants
sir.
on the line. There we go. There's a better angle and shot right there. Of course, for those that didn't order the Sweatpants last year, now you've got them available here for you. Was that last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember. It's been a while.
We'll go with 1 or 2. Let's go with that.
It's been at least one. Yeah, it's been at least 1 year. So, yes, we do have a pair of Sweatpants available. These ones I have are a size to be determined. These are 2XL. Matt, I don't know if you've got any extra Sweatpants around in your vicinity, but size is dependent on winter. On winter. But, yes, get those picks in. Get them made. Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. Buffalo at Houston. As much of a trap game as possible for the Bills. It's a trap game, but nonetheless, make those picks. Winner will be announced next week's show for a pair of Sweatpants.
Get those picks in. I know that some people were kind of peeved a little bit because we didn't do it this week, but that's okay because you can do it again. Prove what you can do here. So get those picks in. Actually, I did make my picks before the show, so I feel accomplished in doing that. Yeah, make sure you get those in. Also, keep in mind as well, the current leaderboard as it stands. Shout out to one of my good friends, Matt Johnson, leading the way. Yes, sirree, Bob. He is leading the way. This week he had 110 points and picks. He was fantastic. But the defending champ is Tyler Hermann. He's neck and neck with Tyler Hermann. This will be the fight to the finish. And not far behind, our guy, R.J. Wilson. Yes, he is in the mix. Voldy, you are just behind him, too. You guys both have the same score, so we're all in the mix. But, well, actually, besides me. It's not that bad. But I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to keep it going here. So I'll get those picks in and whatnot. So we got a lot to cover tonight, so let's just talk about what we're doing. Those Minnesota Vikings lose to the Chicago Bears. Yes, not a great deal. I won't get too much into it because we got a lot to go through, so we'll talk about that. And then those Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves with our acknowledging our tribal chief, Naz Reid. Yes, Naz Reid had a fantastic game the other night as well. They're looking good. Wolves are looking good, so bring your ass. And then tonight, it is the Hall of Shame, and our inductee, Urbanmeyer. We have to free up space in our list, I think. That's the reason why we're doing this, to be quite honest. And we'll talk about it. Voldy and I will discuss, and you guys throw in your 2 cents. There were people that weren't fans of us doing this, but you know what?
That's fine.
That's okay. He still was kind of a scumbag. It doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't hide the fact. All right. ARA tonight is as follows: the pro volleyball is coming to Minnesota. Yes, we will discuss that. The big news coming out of Minnesota is that, and Sanders had a rough NFL debut.
Bruh.
If you thought it was rough for JJ, oh boy. Take a look at what happened with Shedeur. We will talk about that. James Franklin to Virginia Tech. V-Tech, we'll talk about that. That's some big news as well. New names on the BBWAA Hall of Fame ballot. A lot to be said there as well. Voldy's got some takes on that. And to round things off, Team USA adds ahead of the World Baseball Classic. Yes, we will talk about
coming up
as well. It's coming up. That's right.
4 months away.
That's right. So with that being said, let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. It's hot, it's fresh out in the oven, but this one tonight is a little bit cold. It's been a Voldy. I don't know about you, but it has been a brutal week being a Vikings fan this week because there has been so much negativity, so much to be said, so many opinions, so many people just ragging on J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, and it just is turning out just to be a spiral downward, which we don't want, obviously, but it's not great. Vikings lose to the Bears 19-17. We had Mitch Ribby on last week, and we said it was going to be a close game, and guess what? It was. It'll come down to a field goal. Mm-hmm. That's what Mitch said. That's what we said. And guess what? Mitch was on the right side of it. So,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So Vikings lose 19-17. We won't go through a bunch of, we're just going to start with our thoughts on the game, and we'll discuss the whole J.J. McCarthy thing here as well. So, Voldy, what are your overall thoughts of the game? Anything that you saw that there should be a little positivity if you have a little tidbit of positivity, or if you're just like, no, this is really, really bad. So, Voldy, what?
Yeah, I was talking about, and I've been saying it basically since that game went final on Sunday. We had no business winning that game, just the way that we play, the Vikings played. I didn't play, you didn't play. The way the Vikings played in that contest, again, it just came down to just straight, lack of discipline. the false starts, and then just continuing. J.J. McCarthy was throwing balls high, throwing them low, not getting open receivers, and just some key drops. He was throwing, 5-yard routes, 110 miles an hour, and then he was floating a couple balls, which led to interceptions. He showed his youth in that start for sure. Yeah. And then when the rubber met the road, when it came to some clutch times, he showed out. He balled out for sure. Sadly, I kind of made the comment to myself. It's like, okay, maybe the Vikings should start down 7-0 every game, so that way JJ can come back and at least play the great technique that he can in the comeback for sure, because it's happened multiple times. And when we took the lead with under a minute to go, I thought, okay, we're gonna sneak out with a win here. Yeah. I'll take it. I will take an ugly win is better than a good loss. I will take that 9 times out of 10. And then the ensuing kickoff, as Devin Duvernay is about to house that joint, I even said to myself, why did I mention Devin Duvernay to return a touchdown this season with rapid fire with Mitch Ribby this past week? So I'm going to take the blame for the loss here on Sunday. It was very much a mistake as a whole. But again, we had no business winning that game, but the fact that we came back, took the lead, and unfortunately gave it up on special teams, which had a bit of a day within itself overall. I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit upset. We're 1-4 at home, and that's not good. The fact that we have a better record on the road, being 3-2 on the road as opposed to winning at home, that is not going to bode well for this team as it comes along. But then you also start looking at all this anti-JJ McCarthy propaganda that continues to go around. Look, I know we set lofty goals for the start of the season. We were talking about the Vikings winning the division, going all the way to the NFC Championship game, winning, maybe going beyond that point as well.
Yeah.
But let's get down to brass tacks. We have a quarterback that is playing his first 5 games, now going into, 6 games of his professional career. Any sort of positivity is house money at this point. Yes, you have the weird phenomenons of C.J. Stroud. You have the Cam Newtons, the Jaden Daniels that were ballers in their first starts and first seasons of their careers. But that doesn't happen all the time. That is the 1% of the 1% of the 1% that ends up having great starts to their NFL career. J.J. McCarthy is going to take some lumps along the way. Bad offensive line play, a little bit of inconsistency with his cadence, and ultimately getting his team into rhythm. Having struggles, of course, just making the decisions and also turnovers. Let's be honest. I mean, there are a lot of Hall of Fame and potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks that had very rough starts to their career, and they're wearing gold jackets and will be wearing gold jackets very soon. This is just something that we're going to have to deal with. I know everyone's kind of in a win now situation, but for the Vikings, with what they have, I feel like any sort of win week to week, and if not a winning record this season, is as good as we're going to get, even though I said we were going to the NFC Championship game. But you know what? I have been proven wrong multiple times. But, this is just one that we had no business winning, and the fact that we even came back to take a lead in the final seconds of the game was great to see. Now we need to put a whole game together, and not having, 57 false starts at our home stadium will certainly help from that point.
Well said. To be quite frank, too, you talk about guys and, gold jackets and stuff like that. I just heard some news today, and it's it's an absolute travesty as well. Before I get into everything, Jim Marshall and Chuck Foreman are officially they won't be considered for the Hall of Fame.
Dude, come on!
I don't understand how you can look at some of these stats that both of these men had. My dad and Jimbo and all these other Vikings fans from that era. This Jim Marshall played every single game. Look at the stats.
He was the Iron Man.
He was the Iron Man. Chuck Foreman, at one point, and again, this was at the time, the two top running backs at that time when he was in the prime and everything, it was him and, unfortunately, O.J. Simpson, who we don't really talk about.
Great football player.
Great football player.
Not so much.
That's right. And
allegedly.
It's absolutely asinine. And I just want to say it is an absolute crime that both of those guys will not be considered for the Hall. I mean, I'm thrilled they got Ring of Honor and everything like that, but not the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You know what? That's bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit.
Meanwhile, everybody else from the Purple People Eaters, I believe, is in the Hall of Fame.
Carl,
I could be wrong on
Carl
that.
Eller.
Yep. Carl Eller, Alan Page is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. It's an absolute travesty. Yeah, it's a travesty. Gary Larson.
There you go. Thank you. I
always
forget him. Sorry,
so,
Gary.
yeah. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because
for sure.
I almost want, like, Vikings fans to, like, start a campaign to, like, say, this, look at the stats, look at everything he's done and everything like that, and send it to the league and say, are these not Hall of Fame numbers?
Literally, you would think that even with a guy that did pass away, unfortunately, rest in peace, and our thoughts and prayers to the Marshall family as well, that would have had some sort of merit to at least say, okay, it's been long enough. But, like, I don't know what it takes anymore for guys to get into the Hall of Fame. And it's just completely ridiculous, the fact that we are in a situation where it becomes, sadly, a popularity contest, or at least some sort of, I don't know what Jim Marshall did off the field to piss off so many writers or guys that, behind the scenes or whatever. But, sadly, it comes down to whether you were liked by the media or liked by your colleagues in your field and profession. But I guess, something rub some people the wrong way, which I don't understand how or what, because that's definitely well before both our times combined for sure. But, it's unfortunate that a guy like Jim Marshall, now sadly passed away, will never get the chance to at least hear his name called as a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
There was, Mark Rosen, actually, this was on KFAN, and Mark Rosen, knows him quite well because Rosie's covered Vikings football for a long, long time. And he has been fighting and clawing to try and get him in the Hall of Fame. But, the eligibility and, all this other mumbo jumbo is absolutely BS, in my opinion. So, anyway, let's get to the matter at hand with the Minnesota Vikings. All right. Voldy, you put it pretty well, and I think a lot of it. I want to start with some more positive outlook. I thought the Vikings defense was fantastic. They did a phenomenal job in making sure that Caleb didn't dominate them by using his legs. Granted, he got out of a lot of sacks. I know that. I understand that, but his passing wasn't good. He was the same as McCarthy, 16 of 32, 193 yards. He got sacked twice, one of those being our guy, Andrew Van Ginkel. Yes, sir. Yep. And it just got to a point where it's just like, they're doing everything they can. We need some offense to match that. And unfortunately, the A topic is J.J. McCarthy. And I am so sick and tired, before I get into more of it, I'm so sick of tired of this slander, this absolute just evisceration of this guy that's only played 5 games. And these national media people, there's this Yahoo Sports group guys that are always on, and there's this one guy that's just relentless. I mean, he's like, he was absolutely awful, missing throws, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Dude, he's played 5 games. Okay? Just wait. If it gets bad next week, then maybe we have to talk about, let's give him some time, see what we got in Brosmer and go from there, right? No, these guys are just absolutely saying, he's, they got to move on from him. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have this. The kid is the youngest quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, are we going to forget that? And apparently some of these guys are like, oh, this goes all the way back to Michigan. And, he couldn't do that because he had a great team around him and, X, Y, and Z. This is a completely different league. The NFL is way different from the college football game, okay? And J.J. McCarthy had a bad game again, and it wasn't good. I understand that. He's missing throws, and it was frustrating. I was frustrated. But you know what? I think you have to get the bad out before you can get the good, right? And I think this isn't like he's sitting back and saying like, well, I guess I suck, so I'm just not going to, not going to improve. The kid is trying to improve the best he can here. Now, if you want to nitpick on certain things with, his footwork, which isn't great, but I see a little bit of progression. But the sad part about this whole thing is that people are like the whole 9 thing. They're like, oh, wow, 9 and he has an alter ego. Why does he have the 9 thing? And then people are making fun of him for that. Listen, you're a different person when you're playing football, right? At home you're probably, very chill and whatnot. He just turns it on. He's in game mode. He's engaged. Now, I don't want people to sit back and say, I don't care. He's a bust. That's just how it is. Let's not forget how many drops this team had this past game as well. It was bad. Jordan Addison, two drops this past game, and that was awful. You can't forget that. And then after that, you have T.J. Hawkinson dropping one that was on a key third down, and then Aaron Jones had one go right in his face mask. I mean, you got to catch that. You got to help the young guy out. Mm-hmm. You have to. They weren't helping him, too. I know J.J. didn't help matters as well, but guys got to catch the ball. And quite frankly, we got to see more from T.J. Hawkinson. I've been very disappointed in how things have gone out. Because now people are saying, after the season, I don't see the Vikings holding on to him with that big contract. Because
that's unfortunate,
it's unfortunate because I still think he's very good. It's just like I don't think he's been the same since the injury. So
no.
It's frustrating from that aspect as well. So I'm not going to go into a full rant on, all these people that, But I will say the one thing here. When people keep comparing, they should have kept Darnold, they should have kept Jones, they should have, done this and that. Sam Darnold last week threw 4 interceptions against the Rams. You want to sit back and tell me that, the Vikings were better off with re-signing Sam Darnold? Look, I know Seymour put this on the social medias on X, and he said, well, the Vikings, they made a mistake not franchise tagging him. Well, if they would have franchise tagged Sam Darnold, you don't get Will Fries in there, right? You don't have him in the middle. You need that. You can't just not have that. You didn't have Darisaw to start the year, so with the O-line problems, it would have been worse, in my opinion. But, I respect Seymour's opinion on it. I'm not trying to say that he's, I'm not trying to say what he's saying is absolutely wrong, but it's hard to tell that. When the lights get bright, it gets very, very tough for Sam Darnold to try and get back in the game. We saw it in 2 of those games. The big game against Detroit and then against the Rams last year.
Funny how he threw 4 interceptions against the Rams again. In LA.
I'm just throwing that out there. And again, I have no ill will towards Sam Darnold. What he did last year was fantastic, and I think he's very good. But you know what? That just proves it. The Colts are starting to kind of come back to earth a little bit. We'll see how that goes, but it all depends, and it all depends. So, and then to just kind of a little bit of a bright spot, the run game was very good. Aaron Jones, 16 for 70. I know I think he had a couple catches, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3 for 11. Jordan Mason, 6 attempts, 45 yards and a tug. I mean, that's what you want to see. So, going up against the hated Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. Yeah, we have to go to the Cheeseheads. It sucks. But, they haven't been great either. They almost lost to our guy over there in New York. That being
James.
Infamous Jameis.
Infamous Jameis. Almost beat him. He threw a pick to end the game, which is...
Yeah.
wasn't
Man,
really
they are banged up, too, offensively.
They are.
I mean,
They are.
Josh Jacobs ain't 100%. Jordan Love ain't 100%. Christian Watson can't figure it out. They got a receiver core that's up,
Stay
down,
healthy.
left, right, and center. I mean, geez Louise.
And this is the time to take advantage, right? I mean, this is the time to get back and, you don't overcomplicate it for JJ. Just run a little bit more, maybe. I mean, I love KOC, but I just think the reluctance to not run the ball is starting to...
Yeah, it's getting annoying.
It's getting annoying. And I think he has to, I know it's the system and everything like that, but, you got to rely on the run game when you have it. So that's just me. But,
Run the ball to
Voldy,
set action. Everybody knows that.
yeah. Voldy, what are your thoughts on this game against Green Bay coming up? I mean, I have a little sense of hope just because, when their backs have been against the wall, when the Vikings' backs have been against the wall, they've responded pretty well. So,
Definitely.
what do you think at Lambeau on Sunday?
No, I think having a full gambit of tools is going to be very helpful for J.J. McCarthy. Like I said, even having the run game, the success that we did this past week is going to be paramount. Blocking guys like, Micah Parsons is going to be huge right off the bat. And definitely winning the turnover battle. Like I said, you don't turn over the ball, you're going to win the football game 9 times out of 10. You do that part, you're going to win. And let's not forget as well that this is a Green Bay team 2 weeks ago that took the big old L against Carolina. And Carolina isn't exactly, in any attempts to win a Super Bowl within, this season for sure. So I will certainly take that with that feather in the cap at the same time. But I think with this game, we just have to keep it simple and just run the ball to set up the play action. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Give Adam Thielen the ball a little bit more. I wanted to say it last week. Adam Thielen needed to have a game against Chicago, but if he's going to have a game against anybody, it's going to be Green Bay because Adam Thielen is a Green Bay killer any way that you want to put it to, especially given the fact that, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison have been getting a lot of attention. Jalen Naylor had a really nice catch also, too, in the contest last week. But definitely need to see a little bit more Adam Thielen in order to be comfortable and at least have a lot more success. Defense also needs to get off the field on third down because that has also been just a real kick in the pants. Pressure the quarterback, get off the ball on third down for sure.
I think the main thing is, and I think is probably quite apparent, is Parsons. The guy's got he's got a motor that just never stops. He's always going to try and make a play, get to the quarterback, and get the ball loose and whatnot. I think our guys are up to the task from our offensive line, but I also am curious to see if Ryan Kelly is going to play because he was a full participant today in practice, which is very interesting in itself and something that you definitely would like to you'd like him to be there because he's a very good center. He's a very good player, so that'd be great to have him back. And as well as if you look at at their offense, the Vikings have kind of struggled against the run. I know the Bears had somewhat of a successful time running the ball against us. But that's because, the offense wasn't doing much either. So if the Vikings can get them to 3 and outs and if they can get to Jordan Love, I'm telling you right now, if the Vikings can get to Jordan Love and everything like that, he's going to fold.
Yeah.
Because each game I've seen him, and if you're able to get pressure on him, he doesn't know what to do. He threw one up to Savion Williams against the Giants. I mean, it was an awful throw. I mean, the guy just made a play on the ball. But Jordan, he got very lucky. But Jordan Love, I'm telling you, he will throw it up and pray that somebody's going to, make a play. If they can get to him and if we can finally get some turnovers, we're in business. So I think that's a big key. I think offensively, I think running the ball, I think you can run the ball against this team and find ways to get Jefferson, Addison, and I think it's going to be very apparent. But no drops. Catch the damn ball.
Please, seriously.
Catch the ball. Catch the damn ball. And don't get greedy on the kick return as well, because we did and we paid for it. That's the thing. Yep. And I knew when that happened, Voldy, when we scored the touchdown, I'm like, that's way too much time. I'm like, oh God, this is too much time. Like, I don't like this. And of course, the kick return, they didn't really have to do much. So it sucked. But anyway, that'll kind of do it for the Vikings side of things. Skol Vikes. Let's get the dub in Lambeau this weekend, hopefully. JJ McCarthy, I hope you're ready to roll against these clowns and take them down. So that is a key thing to make sure to, beat those Packers. So, all right. The Minnesota Timberwolves are looking pretty good, Voldy. They are 9-5, and they play tonight against the terrible team in the Washington Wizards. Oh my gosh, they are bad. They have won one measly game, which has been very, very interesting, to say the least. Wolves, don't lose this one, please. Do not lose to this team. Just get the win and go from there. So let's make sure you get the job done. They're playing right now, and the Wolves are on they were on a 4-game win streak. They lost to the Nuggets, unfortunately. They're 0-2 against the Nuggets, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. They destroyed the Mavs the other night as well. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the Wolves? They're starting to kind of get back to, playing really well and get on a run here. What do you think?
No, I think it's definitely been great to see, even with when they had, since Anthony Edwards came back from the injury too, just to see things kind of pick back up where we thought things were going to be at the start of the season for them, and just kind of piecing everything together. Of course, getting Nas to come off the bench has definitely been more of his role and been very suitable for him in his success in his career. A large presence as well, with Rudy getting his 10-10 for sure, down in the paint too. But even seeing kind of Julius Randle pick up a few things a little bit more and be a little bit more heavily involved in the offense has definitely been strong to see. And even, of course, with Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo as well, solidifying their spots in the starting role for sure, has been nothing short of what we've wanted to see here, especially with the starting five being as strong and as consistent as they have been here, especially with, even when Ant went down, we thought, okay, this is going to be, a rough couple of weeks without him, but now him back, things kind of falling right into place at the right time for sure.
Well, it's quite nice when you have two guys that are averaging over 20 points a game, with Ant 25, Julius Randle at 24 points per game as well. Jaden McDaniels 17 points per game, and he is out tonight, unfortunately, with a sprained wrist, but it doesn't seem to be like a long-term thing, which is positive in that sense. But they have been fantastic. I mean, honestly, they have gone and beaten the likes of the Jazz. They beat them twice, actually, within almost the same week. Beat them 137-97, 144 points against the Kings. I mean, they destroyed them. Beat the Jazz again, beat the Kings again. Oh, they played a lot of the same teams, and they beat them twice. Back-to-back, lost to the Nuggets, and they absolutely obliterate the Mavs the other night. But with that being said, I mean, that just kind of makes sense. I mean, this team is going to have to rely on their guys. With Ant being back from the injury, Julius Randle, I think have had a fantastic season so far, and I think he can if he keeps that up, he's going to be kind of that number 2 that we were kind of expecting in the playoffs. He kind of faded a little bit once we played the OKC. But you never know. I think he is going to keep doing what he's been doing. It has been very good in the sense of him being able to rebound, score. I mean, sometimes when you see him put up a shot, it's just a beauty. And he's a guy that you got to watch out for offensively and defensively. I think he kind of gets in that ball hog mentality sometimes. But, that it happens from time to time. But the Wolves are gelling, and they're gelling at the right time, to be quite frank here, Voldy, as well. So I'm feeling good about the Wolves and where they're going. Just please do not lose to the Wizards, please. This is not we don't want them to lose to the Wizards right now. Things are going well. Right now they do have end of the first, Wolves up 34-29. Ignore that. That is just an ad. I just wanted to make sure I knew the score. They're 1-12, 1-6 away. So get the win, please. So, all right, here we go. So with that being said, we'll keep an eye on the Wolves' score as well. Voldy, it is that time, and that time again.
Yes.
Those the Hall of Shame. I know for sure that we have talked about doing this for a while with Urban Meyer. Now, I think it's a little... It's fitting because Urban Meyer has done some things that has landed him on this list, and we've kind of described what kind of person he kind of is, right? And I think we have the reasons why he is in the Hall of Shame. He joins the likes of infamous Jameis, Johnny Bench, Johnny Manziel, Johnny Clipboard, the whole kit and caboodle. And then not only him, but the P.O.D and Dan Snyder. So with that being said, let's get it going with the Hall of Shame, Top 10 and Famous. Let's go.
Here's the list no one wants to be on. Infamous Top 10.
All right, it is time for the infamous Top 10, the Hall of Shame. Oh my goodness. I'm so used to, top 10 and whatnot, but it's the Hall of Shame. So, our latest inductee is Urban Meyer. Yes, our good friend Urban Meyer, Voldy. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Long while.
It's been a long while, and I think this is very deserving because we really haven't seen much since the absolutely abysmal deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, he was Clown of the Year. He took the crown there back when he was going through all that. But,
2021, believe it or not, I had to do a little bit of research because I needed to confirm if Urban Meyer wasn't already in the Hall of Shame. So he is joining his fellow brothers being plural. He is our 4th inductee into the Hall of Shame. He's joining Dan Snyder, Clowntonio Brown, and those damn P.O.D, and Urban Meyer is the 4th inductee into the MinneZona Hall of Shame.
Adding with, we did do Clowntonio. I thought, so we did.
We did, yes.
Okay.
I double confirmed just to be sure. And I wrote them all down too. So that way we now know for the future.
So infamous Jameis, Johnny Manziel are on that list as well. So we got that going for that. So that's perfect. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll throw them in there.
Now, the question is, why did we come to this decision? We have to go through a couple things with Urban Meyer. There has been a lot said about Urban Meyer, but let's start with what happened at Ohio State. Now, you're not hearing much about what happened with Florida. I know there were some things that were kind of shady going on down there, which is not a surprise, just finding out. But at the same time, he won national titles. Not only at Florida, but also at Ohio State. So you got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to that as well. But let's talk about why. Urban Meyer, his first strike, and if we're missing any, we can throw that in there, and the zoners can let us know too. But let's start with the whole Zach Smith incident, and that incident. pretty much what led Urban Meyer to leave Ohio State. Ohio State released 2,000 pages of records, including text messages and emails between Meyer and Zach Smith. Now, you're probably wondering, this is all kind of back in 2018, 2019-ish. Long time ago. But this was an issue that there was an internal investigation into Coach Urban Meyer and former wide receivers coach Zach Smith. And they went through emails, they went through texts and whatnot. Zach Smith was fired on July 23rd, 2018, after reports surfaced that an order of protection had been filed against him by his ex-wife, Courtney. Smith was investigated in 2015 for felonious assault, domestic violence against his ex-wife. So there's that tidbit of information. I won't go through like a whole process and everything, but let's highlight some things that it kind of involved Meyer and the handling of the situation. Urban Meyer claimed on July 24th, 2018, so we're fast forwarding a little bit, that he did not know about the domestic violence allegations against Smith in 2015. There was nothing. I don't know who creates a story like that. Well, that just tells you that you clearly don't know what's going on here. The school put Urban Meyer on administrative leave, that season. So August 1st, 2018, launched the investigation. Meyer released a statement that said always follow proper reporting protocols and procedures. The same day that was issued, Zach Smith appeared on ESPN and said athletic director Gene Smith knew about the 2015 domestic violence allegation at the time, pulling the assistant off a recruiting trip once he heard. Courtney Smith told I don't even know if they're still around, Stadium. I don't know if it's like a newspaper place or something like that. I don't know. She said to Meyer's wife in 2015 that Zach Smith had assaulted her. From then on, after she makes that statement to Urban Meyer's wife at the time, kind of solidifies, okay, something, you got to think she probably should say something to Urban Meyer here, right? And then that's still the season of 2018. Urban Meyer was suspended for 3 games, and the message that Meyer sent to Meyer from his wife Shelley on July 23rd, 2018, the same day as Smith's firing, show her concerns over the assistant coach's handling of the news. She said, I am worried about Zach's response. He drinks a lot, and I am not sure how stable he is. Afraid he will do something dangerous. It's obvious he has anger/rage issues already. So, not a good deal, that's for sure. And again, this comes down to when the incident happened in 2015 and how this was handled. And, Ohio State records revealed that Meyer received a message from someone whose name is redacted on the same day as McMurphy, that's being Brett McMurphy. He reported on Facebook that the same day saying, I know this is a tough day. I just wanted to tell that I care about you and I believe in you. So this is kind of what it says. Meyer said, thanks, brother. Domestic issues are awful. Good thing I have been upfront about everything. Well, were you? And it's so the whole deal, and it just kind of shows that, yeah, he did know and he didn't do anything. I think this came down to him going on an exchange about how, his wife probably said, hey, this has been going on. Like, what are we doing here?
Here's the list no one wants to be on.
Hey, we're back. There we go. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, this whole situation, and Voldy, I asked this of you too. I mean, he had to have known. He had to. and he didn't take the proper action to try and do something about it. So, with that being said, what are your kind of thoughts on the whole situation that kind of led him to leave Ohio State?
I mean, there's definitely no way that he wouldn't have known anything that's going on in his program. No matter what kind of deniability, there's always somebody in there in his, in his realm or in his ear saying, hey, this is what's going on, yada, yada, yada. There's always a guy that knows a guy that reports back to coach saying, hey, there's some stuff going on. Because we've seen it from top to bottom, from Ohio State to, Florida, even on to Jacksonville. There's always somebody in there handling business one way or another. But talking about this specific situation, yeah, he definitely knew. And given the time frame that it was, 2018 going into 2019, at the very height of the Me Too movement, also, it was not looking good for anybody, no matter what side of anything that you were on at that point.
That investigation should have started earlier, right? I think we both, if he would have said something earlier about it and said, hey, guys, we probably need to look into this, then he might have not have left Ohio State. But that was the first strike. Let's go to the second strike. And shout out to my guy, Isaac Doherty, by the way, who's tuning in. Shout out to him. Not sure if I dislike Urban Meyer or Brian Kelly more. I think I'd go with Urban Meyer just because of all the.
I don't understand why people hate Brian. I don't know. Did I miss the boat on something? Did he beat somebody up or something? I think
he's very cringy. I think people don't like that.
People are
that.
Cringe.
That's kind of how that is.
The current head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars is nothing but cringe.
Yeah,
just saying. Well, at least Brian Kelly wins. He can't win the big one, but at least he wins more than all these other guys that are literally covering up murders and everything. So
yeah. Well, then he did he did a great job at North Dakota. What am I saying? Notre Dame and
Notre Dame, Cincinnati.
Notre Dame, and he did it. He knows how to coach. It's just, I just don't think it was a good fit, to say the least. All right, let's get to the one that landed Urban Meyer on this list. Now, it was. I don't even know how to describe that whole situation with the Jags. I mean, he gets the job in Jacksonville, and they kind of thinking outside the box just to see if, things would kind of work out. Well, it was absolutely, positively awful having Urban Meyer as coach. Let's go through a couple of key highlights here. Sources said repeated public comments shifting blame to players and coaches amid the team's 2-10 season exacerbated frustration in the building and why his hard-changing and sometimes condescending approach, a style that many observers believe wouldn't work in the NFL even before the Jags hired him. Yeah. I think that was a red flag right away. Another red flag, and I'm before we get really into this, I think the biggest red flag with Urban Meyer right away was that when he was, I think this was on Hard Knocks, if I'm not mistaken, and he didn't know the names of some of these NFL players. He didn't know who Aaron Donald was. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, if you don't know the players on the team, why are you even a head coach? Are you a freaking idiot? I mean, how do you not know who any of these players are? You're in the NFL. You're an NFL head coach. And it wasn't just like, players, coaches, and everything like that. I mean, he had some spats with a lot of players. One being Marvin Jones, who was a very stand-up guy. He played for Detroit. He's a very good wide receiver. And he became so angry with Urban Meyer of the public and private criticism of the wide receiver group that he left the facility until other staff members convinced him to come back and had a heated argument with Myhrberg during practice. That's a problem. During a staff meeting, he delivered a biting message that he's a winner and his assistant coaches are losers, according to several people informed of the contents of the meeting, challenging each coach individually to explain when they've ever won and forcing them to defend their resumes. Well, I understand that you're trying to motivate, but that's not how this works, buddy boy. So it was just a shit show with no intermission, and I shout out my Uncle Tom for that, who gave me that saying.
That's a good one. I like that.
Shit show and no intermission. It's
I like that. I hope they integrate that a little bit more in life. I like that.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. But so anyway, let's go to the big one. Voldy, that whole situation, when he went to his, it was a pub, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
That he co-owned or something like that in Ohio.
It was his establishment, yes.
Yes. So he goes,
after
he goes
Thursday night game.
Thursday night game. And he doesn't fly back with the team. What NFL head coach doesn't do that? Unless there's a family emergency or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
What NFL coach doesn't do that? And he decides, no, I'm gonna go to my place here. But oh boy, did he start a absolute it was all over the socials. We saw it. You and I saw it. We were talking about how dumb this guy was. He's over there at his pub or whatever, and he is only to be captured at a bar with a young woman who isn't his wife. Isn't his wife. So he's already screwing things up right away. Yeah. A dummy, yeah. And they lost that game, too, before we get into anything else. Mm-hmm. And he's at a bar with a co-ed, a young woman, and she's dancing close to his lap. What NFL head coach has been in the public eye and do that and think everything's fine here? I don't have to worry about anything.
Yep.
He became an absolute mockery of he was a joke. He was an absolute joke, and everyone saw right through him. And the players were even talking to the other teams after games saying, this guy's a freaking nut job. And it got to a point where they were making fun of him. I mean, they're legitimately making fun of this guy and calling him just an absolute clown. So the videos and everything like that, he says, his conduct was, he said, I was inexcusable, and it won't happen again. I acted like a, bleeping idiot. And yeah, you really did. You really did. And it's a shame because, you're in the NFL. You have a chance to show off your legacy and whatnot. Mm-hmm. That is why he is in the Hall of Shame, is because of these things. Now, I know there's some Florida, Ohio State guys, out here saying, you're not going to get any Jaguars fans sitting and saying, oh, I got to defend Urbanmeyer here.
Yeah, no.
No way. No. You can't defend any of that. The fact of the matter is that he is absolutely deserving of this. He pretty much ran a franchise into the ground. Not even a full season. He was absolutely horrendous. And they offered him the big contract. Shad Khan was like, I still got belief in him and everything like that. With the videos coming out and whatnot. How do you respond from that? When the guys are, after practice, going up in the middle at the end of practice, grind on 3. 1, 2, 3, grind. Oh, my God. And I'm going to say this. Urbanmeyer is got to be the top 5 for the worst NFL head coaches of all time. He has to be. NFL head coaches. He is awful. He is absolutely awful. So, with that being said, Voldy, do you have anything to add about this moron here? Or what do you got?
I mean, it's just the fact that he thought that coming from the ranks of college and then also transitioning to, being an analyst for college football and then thinking, oh, I could just go doing the same thing at the National Football League level. Yeah, all these little scare tactics, mental warfare, I'm better than you guys are lower than dirt. That worked in 2007 with Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, and the entire starting defense for the Florida Gators. That doesn't work for 30-year-old men that could seriously beat your ass if they wanted to, or at least know about 20 other guys that could beat you up without even a thought about it. The guys are making money legitimately, I should say, and are, basically putting their lives on the line week in and week out. That whole mental warfare and scare tactics stuff doesn't work with grown-ass men for sure, and I'm surprised that he definitely did not catch a beating at his time in Jacksonville. And the one thing I always remember, too, from this whole situation is, wasn't it the kicker? I think it was McManus, I believe.
Josh Lambo.
Josh
I just
Lambo.
looked it up.
Thank you. Of him, kicking the back of the leg or whatever and trying to get into his head or whatever, and just like, dude, what is going on? I'm not a 19-year-old kid with, that's trying to stay on scholarship. I am a grown man. I deserve a little bit of respect for sure. I don't care who you are or what you've done. You haven't done it here at the NFL level. And just the whole situation, him at the bar and the young lady that's not his wife, not his daughter. In fact, he even said, too, the reason why he wasn't flying back was to visit his new grandchild. Definitely wasn't his grandchild, I'll tell you that for free. Was just really the ultimate feather in the cap, thinking he could get away with doing the stuff that he did when he was a college coach at the NFL level. That is why you tend to see a lot of college coaches not sustain a lot of great success long term at the NFL level, thinking that it's just going to be a simple transition. Now I've just got actual men to deal with, as opposed to just, working with these, children, basically. And I think just absolutely, I have to echo your same sentiment. Top 5 worst NFL coaches of all time for sure. The fact that he didn't make it a full season in his first season, leaps and bounds. I mean, I don't know how many times that has happened where a first-year head coach is fired in his first season before the end of the year, because I know there's been coaches that have been fired after a full season. Gerard Mayo, Jim Mora Jr. I'm sure there's a few other guys. Lovie Smith as well. But I mean, the fact that he was fired after not even after his first full season, not even of 15 games, not, the week before the end of the season, literally just like, we can't do this. You're done. Get out of here. Amazing.
Let's talk about, or let's go. I have the quotes of what he said allegedly. Well, I think he did. I mean, all the stuff that's coming out about him is making sense. I mean, Lambo was stretching. He's just stretching, not bothering anybody or anything like that. Right. He goes up to him during the week of the final preseason game, too. He said, and this is quoted, too, so, technically these F-bombs won't count to our rule. So let's do it. Meyer told him, hey, dipshit, make your fucking kicks. And he kicked him in the leg. How is that motivating? And you kick him in the leg, you moron. And the Lambo says he told Meyer, don't you ever fucking kick me again. Ooh,
I love it.
I like that. Well done, Josh Lambo. I like that. And he said, Meyer said, I'm the head ball coach. I'll kick you whenever the fuck I want.
Jesus Christ, dude.
It was bad. And then a day later, Meyer said, if you ever speak to me like that again, you'll be out of here. You're the first player I've ever let speak to me that way in my career, and if you do it again, you're gone. Well, Mr. I've won national championships and everything like that. I've won all these national titles and whatnot. doesn't translate to the NFL. Instead, you're kicking guys because you just want to. I mean, you tell me. I mean, he is the top 5 worst NFL head coaches of all time. He is. So if you want something to hang your hat on, that's one to hang your hat on in the NFL.
He should just go back to Florida, save the program right off into the sunset, or drop dead on the sidelines because of it. If his heart can take it anymore.
Seymour tuning in. Guy won 2 national titles though.
Yeah, good for him.
Doesn't matter what he did. I mean, this is warranted. I mean, it makes sense.
Borderline criminal.
Yeah,
borderline
exactly.
assault.
For
It
not
literally
reporting
was assault.
properly about the domestic deal with that Zach Smith, and then just like ruining a completely different franchise. The next year, they put in Doug Peterson, and Trevor Lawrence probably had one of his best years. They went to the playoffs that year, for goodness sake. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. And he thought what worked in college would work in the NFL, and it didn't, like you said as well. And yes, I know he's got the national titles to do that, but like we said, what you do in college football can't translate very well to the NFL. Just saying.
Dude's a nut job.
Nut job, absolutely. So I don't know how. I don't think we say that, but congratulations. I don't know what I want to say. I don't know. Seymour, here we go. Have the Vikings hired Connor Stallions yet to help J.J. McCarthy? Okay, I'll give you that. That's funny.
That's good.
I'll give him that. That's
good.
Funny. You never know. Maybe it works in the NFL.
Coming from a guy who's a Titans fan.
True.
He's got his own problems in front of him.
There's a lot
But
of problems.
we miss Seymour. We miss C Money.
We love the banter back and forth.
Absolutely.
But anyway, let's move on. We got to get to ARA. Voldy has a stacked lineup tonight for ARA. Pro Volleyball coming to Minnesota. We'll talk about it. And Shedeur has a rough NFL debut. We'll talk about the whole deal in regards to that. James Franklin to Virginia Tech. We'll discuss our thoughts on that. And new names on the BBWAA Hall of Fame ballot. And then to round things off, Team USA adds more players, I believe, right, Voldy, ahead
Correct.
of World Baseball Classic. So, without further ado, let's get it going. Let's observe or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, there will be an addition to professional sports in the world of Minnesota, and it will be professional volleyball coming to Minnesota coming up in 2027. That's right. The Major League Volleyball Association, well, it's just Major League Volleyball, will be adding a franchise to Minnesota that will be playing at Grand Casino Arena in the start of 2027. Now, the ownership group that is headlined by owner and proprietor of the Minnesota Wild, operated by the Minnesota Sports and Entertainment, that is, of course, the leadership that does own the Minnesota Wild and the Iowa Wild, headlined by, of course, like I said, an owner, Craig Leopold, will be having a team playing at Grand Casino Arena. Now, this is also interesting. That announcement came out on Tuesday. Well, the previous week, that on this past Friday, League One Volleyball announced that they will be adding a franchise to Minnesota as well. Now, this is interesting. No further details have been announced to where the location of said franchise will be playing out of. It's be interesting to see, but it is very good to see that, of course, professional sports, especially with volleyball being one of them, being added to the state of Minnesota with the great success that the University of Minnesota has had. Of course, Concordia St. Paul, our alma mater in Southwest Minnesota State. Countless other college and high-level volleyball programs have had over the years as well, getting a little bit more recognition too, of course, now in the professional ranks. Now, with that also being thrown into there, is it absurd or approved if either or both of these franchises, either in League One volleyball or Major League Volleyball, will win a championship before one of the big four men's franchises? Because we've seen the success of the Lynx, the Minnesota Frost as well, back-to-back PWHL champs with the Walter Cup. But will one of these franchises win a title before the men do? Absurd or approved?
That's a great question. I liked it a lot. But before we continue with that, Grand Casino Arena. Come on, boo!
Yeah.
The XL Energy Center. That's what it's going to be. The X, not Grand Casino Arena.
So weird.
Dumb.
Yeah, I don't like it anymore.
Dumb. Anyway, but I just wanted to throw that in there. You know what's interesting? I'm looking at what you sent over here, Voldy. You know who is a he's an minority investor to one of the franchises. You know who that be per se?
Well, it depends on who you are. Well, Tim Connolly, I know, is one of them.
Yes, Tim
Sure,
Connolly.
yeah.
That's right. Spot on. I mean, Tim Connolly, putting some money into it as well, is pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I think Minnesota is stacked with talent with volleyball, both men and women's. Especially our Mustangs. Yes, sir. Let's go. If they're looking for a coach, I have a suggestion, Voldy, and I think you know where I'm going with this. I think the head coach of either the men's or the women's, or maybe even both. No, probably not. But that's a lot to do both teams. But probably the women's. But Terry Culhane. I think our guy, Terry Culhane, former SMSU women's volleyball head coach, should be the head coach of the profession. I mean, look, he's won in high school. He's won in college. Why not? I mean, why the heck not? He'd be fantastic. Bring Terry out of retirement. But anyway, to answer your question, I don't like doing this just because, I want our teams to do that. I mean, the Wolves are close. Not right now with the Vikings. Don't even get me started on the Twins. The Wild is kind of the seesaw battle there. I'll go with... I hate to do it, but you know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to give it my stamp of approval. I don't... And again, I'm not saying that I'm all for them winning, like, the big one and whatnot. Like, I totally am. I just want to see the big four. Just one. Please, during my lifetime. But, I would probably give it my a stamp of approval. I think, like you mentioned with the Frost, Voldy, I think they've been, they've surpassed everyone's expectations, and they're adding more teams. They're branching out too. So, it's got my stamp of approval. I think they will because, and again, like we said, this is a hotbed for a lot of really good volleyball players. The Gophers even, like the women's team is fantastic. So, I'm going to go with stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, with our luck in recent history of professional sports and championships coming around outside of, completely obscure championships for some of our men's athletes, I think this has definitely got my stamp of approval. I think just with the hotbed that we've seen with volleyball in the last, I want to say at least 10, 15 years for sure in Minnesota. Definitely been up there in national recognition, of course, at the D2 levels with Concordia. And, of course, our Mustangs out of Southwest for sure have definitely been back and forth in a few. And all the other programs, Division 2, Division 3 especially, has seen some very good programs over the years for sure. There is definitely a lot of highly competitive volleyball for sure. And this is great. I would definitely wouldn't turn down an opportunity to see said action as well. Be interesting to see, but I think it'll be, unfortunate that we may have to wait, but at the same time, wouldn't be surprised if they do in their maiden seasons, making a run at a championship for sure. It's got my stamp of approval.
It'll be interesting. I think it's going to attract a lot of eyes to both teams. I mean, especially the XL is. Oops. Yeah, I said it.
Go.
The XL bringing people, there, and it's a perfect venue to have, volleyball. I feel like so. All right, next one, Voldy.
Heading to the world of the NFL, hell hath frozen over. Hell, that being Cleveland, Ohio. Browns rookie quarterback who started at number 4 on the depth chart to open up the season made his NFL debut. Sheduersanders against the Baltimore Ravens coming out at the start of the second half after, unfortunately, Dillon Gabriel suffered a concussion in the first half against the Baltimore Ravens. Well, it wasn't that storybook finish for Sheduersanders, at least in his maiden action of the season. Sheduersanders did finish 4 for 16 for 47 yards with an interception and unfortunately was sacked twice. At one point, Cleveland did hold a 10-point lead and fell 23-16 against the surging Baltimore Ravens in his first action in the NFL. Wasn't good for the Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback, but did not hold him back as well in the fact that he will be making his first NFL start coming up on Sunday at the Las Vegas Raiders with, of course, Dillon Gabriel still remaining in concussion protocol. Now with Shedeur locked in as the starter, of which we did make the prediction that whether or not he would start a game this season for the Cleveland Browns is it absurd or approved. Will Shedeur rebound in this game against the Las Vegas Raiders, throw his first NFL touchdown in his first NFL start in Las Vegas?
Well, on the show, we've been very critical of Sheduersanders. There was the draft and how he was handling that and how he's very smug and everything like that. But, I think at this point in time, and like we've, brought up to with Dillon Gabriel, going out and him being brought into the game, I think it was kind of tough for him to kind of get adjusted. But, if we've learned anything these past few weeks with our Minnesota Vikings, we've learned that, maybe patience is the best way to kind of get this going. Now, I know Shedeur, it's no secret that I'm not a fan of the guy, but I want to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in order to, try to make something out of it. I'm not trying to, be a Shedeur slanderer, but he's going up against a Las Vegas team that I think he can take advantage of. And they are not very good. Max Crosby's the guy you have to worry about nonetheless, and I think he could make Shedeur's life hell. But knowing Kevin Stefanski, I don't think he's going to put him in really tough positions and whatnot. And I think with Shedeur, you just got to kind of give him experience too. I mean, he went into that Ravens game and he was bad. I mean, if you thought J.J. McCarthy was bad, watch when he came in. I mean, it wasn't good. But I'm going to give it my stamp of approval that he's going to throw his first touchdown in his first start. I'll give him that. And honestly, you just got to kind of see, how it all plays out. And, we had that, we weren't sure if he was going to play at all this season, and here's his chance. So I think he'll make the most out of it. I think the only thing I'd be concerned about is if he starts getting frazzled and throwing passes that are just, unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy-esque as of right now.
Right.
As of right now. But, I think he'll rebound. Do they win? That's a whole nother thing. Their defense is really good. Don't get me wrong. I think, they'll keep them in the game. I got this weird feeling. I think they will. I think they're going to, they'll beat them. But I'm not saying Shedeur's going to have this amazing game. I think he throws a touchdown, but I also think he's going to turn over the ball at least once. So
Yeah.
I'll go with stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you got?
I definitely liked, of course, even with there being a lead in the second half for Cleveland, Shedeur took the blame. He said, ultimately he said, I didn't play well enough. I didn't put his team in the right position to go out and make plays, turned over the ball, and even throwing with some of these players that he hasn't thrown to since the summer, basically, and the fact that he even said too, it's like I threw passes and routes to Jerry Jeudy for the first time this year, and it's week we're going into week 11, I think, or week 12, I think.
I think 12.
And going into week 12, and this is the first time he's probably thrown Jerry Jeudy the ball. Not exactly put in the right situation, but given that at his May, it didn't turn out so well for him. So give him a week of preparation, give him a little bit more time where they design the playbook around him a little bit more. We'll see what happens. Will they lead to success? Sure. I'm sure there'll be some opportunities for him to at least be able to showcase some of that talent that warranted him to obviously get a look as a NFL draft pick for sure. Will it lead to sustained success? We'll have to wait and see. I want as much success for Shedeur as possible. All this negativity and all this hate towards him, of course, being him being put up on his pedestal because of all the media hype around him, him being Deion's son, and the fact that he was putting up all these numbers and how they didn't translate to wins, yada yada yada. At the end of the day, this is a guy who wants to live out his dream as being a pro football player, and I don't blame him.
Sure.
Given the pressure and everything that he's got from the media, the family, just everything that's been put in front of him since the day he was born, I want to see him ball out. I want a Shedeur Sanders Cleveland Browns jersey. I'll go out and say that right now, and I hope that maybe birthday's a month away as of today. Fun fact on top of that, that happens someday in the near future. I want to see that happen. I want to see him throw his first touchdown. Will lead to a win. We'll see. I think the defense is going to have to come through there. That front four that they do have is very nice. A little bit suspect on the back end, but Raiders on the other side are equally as tough for sure. Max Crosby and the squad. I know I picked them in the pick'em to win this week, so I'm going to say yes, he will rebound and have his first touchdown and his first start for sure. So yes, it's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, Vegas is not a good team, so I wouldn't.
Sadly,
I think he'll definitely get it. So, All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, coming up after being fired earlier this season and a $9 million settlement with Penn State, James Franklin has been hired to be the next head football coach for Virginia Tech University after being let go in October 12th. So give it a fast forward, not even 5 weeks later. Now a new head coach, Franklin, over his 12 seasons at Penn State, finishing 128 wins to 60 losses and 3 seasons at Vanderbilt included, of course, appearances in the Big Ten championship game, a Big Ten championship, I should say, back in 2016, and also college football semifinals berth back in 2024. It will be a new start for James Franklin back in the southern part of the United States. That being also with James Franklin taking over for the Hokies, who are coming up on tough times, who finished, sadly, starting off 0-3 on the season. Virginia Tech fired Brent Pry as their head coach. Now will be a turn in regime coming up here in the following season. Very interesting to see here. Of course, you see coaches being hired now, in the last few weeks of the season, so at least get a chance to see how things are going as of late with some of the players that are still in there. But, now in the back half of the year, and especially some pivotal games coming up for Virginia Tech, who is not in a good overall record as well. Is it absurd or approved? Will James Franklin be able to get Virginia Tech back to those glory days when they're in the ACC championship game? It felt like year in and year out. The Tyrod Taylor days, the Michael Vick days, the Marcus Vick days. Yeah. Will James Franklin be able to turn things around for Virginia Tech. Absurd or approved.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like all eyes were on him at Penn State, and that's a tough job. I mean, you're expected to win, especially with him taking over. I think it was after the Jerry Sandusky deal and whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. Joe Paterno and all that, and he gave him some hope. But I think
so. It went from Joe Paterno, then he got let go. Yeah.
And I think with James Franklin, he is a very good coach. Now, I think him going to Virginia Tech kind of shows like, hey, this is still a, D1 school. This is your head coach, and you have an opportunity here, and I think he's going to make the most of that opportunity. He had Saquon. He coached Saquon. He coached a lot of good players from Penn State, and I think he'll be able to get guys to come to Virginia Tech knowing that, he's had success. And, I know he hasn't won, big time Big Ten games a whole lot. I mean, he's definitely has. But I just think it got to a point where it's like, this isn't going the way we thought it was going to go, especially, I mean, they went to the college football playoff and they won. I think, was it a couple games, maybe one or two or something like that? I know they beat Boise State. I think that's right. They beat Boise.
Correct. They also beat SMU, I believe, also. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. So he's a very good college coach, and I think he's going to do a lot of great things with Virginia Tech. I'm going to give it my stamp of approval. I'm going to say that they're going to be a good place in the next few years. I don't think right away, but I think maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road, they're going to start to kind of get to that point of like, hey, you got to take this team seriously. James Franklin has built this program to success. So, it's got my stamp of approval. I think he will. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I definitely would like to see Virginia Tech be competitive once again, because there were a handful of years, of course, with Frank Beamer as head coach, and the subsequent years that he was there as head coach, of course, they were in the mix. It felt like just about for like 9-10 years straight, it was Virginia Tech versus Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. Then you had, like, of course, you threw in Clemson there a few times as well, them being in the ACC championship. But college football is good, especially in the ACC, when Virginia Tech is good. I know I've mentioned a few other teams, so-and-so is good. If college football is good, so-and-so is good. But Virginia Tech is definitely one of those programs you want them to be successful, even in their heyday, from like the late aughts into the early tens as well, them making it to the Sugar Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl or something like that. That's sorely missed. Those were some fun times for sure. And of course, bringing in a guy like James Franklin, sure, he had a rocky finish there with Penn State. Of course, him getting the knock that he could get them to the big one, but he could never win the big one. Or whenever a ranked team came in and played against them, couldn't get the win, unfortunately. But the Big Ten is its own beast of its own animal in the ACC, given the fact that, they've expanded coast to coast now. A little bit watered down compared to years past if we were playing just strictly, Miami, or if we were playing Clemson, if we were playing, North Carolina or some of those other blue blood ACC schools for sure. But now things are a little bit different. He knows how to bring in the big recruits. Of course, him being coaching in that populated area of the, area that Virginia faces in the DMV area. Of course, his time at Penn State, previously coached at Maryland, and even a year at James Madison in that DMV area, is definitely a good enough coach that he can recruit, bring the guys in, and restore faith to the Hokie Nation for sure. I think, give it a couple of years. If they have immediate success, that's great. The transfer portal is its own beast nowadays, so you can definitely get a few guys in the portal for sure. I definitely see this as a win for sure. I think James Franklin's able to turn things around for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, is Virginia Tech in the same conference as UNC?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. They got the right coach over there in Virginia Tech and not, or excuse me, Jordan Hudson, head coach. By the way, I'm sorry. Yeah, I went there. That is what it is. But yeah, I think he will. I like him as a coach, honestly. I think he's very good. So I think he'll do some nice things over there. All right, next one, Voldy.
Headed in the world of Major League Baseball, the newest names unveiled by the Baseball Writers Association of America Hall of Fame ballot were introduced here earlier this week, with 12, make that 15 newcomers, including with 15 holdovers from the 2025 ballot. Writers will have the chance to vote for those that will make their hallowed name forever present in Cooperstown, New York, coming up here in January of 2026. That's when the ballot will be announced as those being held into the high regard in Cooperstown. So of the names that have made their way onto the ballot for 2026 do include Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Daniel Murphy, Rick Porcello, Shin-Soo Choo, Edwin Encarnacion, Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Nick Markakis, and Hunter Pence. Those are the names that are currently introduced and new to the ballot, not including the guys that were held over from previous years. Now, specifically looking at the names that were added onto this year for the new ballot, of the new names that we see, who do you see is the most likely to make the Hall of Fame? And I don't want to say first ballot because I'm going to come out and say it. There's a lot of names that are kind of, for lack of a better term, mid. There's a lot of mid names on here. Nobody's jumping right out saying, like, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer 10 times out of 10, but a lot of mid names, I would certainly say. Who do you see making the Hall of Fame from this ballot of the new names within the first 3 years of being eligible on the ballot?
Yeah, I'm looking at this list, and gosh, these guys I watched when I was a kid. I mean, it's just so cool to see these names. Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Carlos Beltran, even though the whole cheating scandal, which I was going to bring up too.
No. We're not getting into that.
We're not getting that one?
No.
Okay.
No, not anymore.
But again, I think he's definitely Hall of Fame, Beltran for sure. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. But out of those guys you mentioned, I would probably say Edwin Encarnacion for sure. I love the way he played. I was hoping he'd be a Twin someday, and because the Twins are the Twins. But Markakis is another guy that I really enjoyed watching. He's with the Orioles for a long time. Hunter Pence, I think, deserves that. Cole Hamels, I would say so. I mean, he was a great pitcher. He was very good as well. I'll go with there's a couple other names. Now, I was looking at this article, Voldy, and there's some holdovers like A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Andrew Jones, Chase Utley. They have, include steroids, tainted stars, and they bring up these names. Torrey Hunter's at the bottom of this list. He never took PEDs.
No, they're saying that those first couple, it's A-Rod and Manny Ramirez, along with.
I was like looking, I'm like, he didn't. Yeah, and I even looked it up just to make sure. I'm like, there's no way. No. So anyway, so with some of these guys, I would say, Beltran's up there. One guy I don't think deserves it, and especially of how he went about his business in Milwaukee, is Ryan Braun. I've heard, or there have been, with everything that happened, I think even Aaron Rodgers turned on the guy because he lied about using PEDs and things like that. And from what I understand, he was just not a good dude. Now, stats are factored into it. I understand. Like, he was very good, to say the least. But a lot of people turned on this dude. And I think I don't think he's going to get a lot of praise from these baseball writers and how he handled his business to end his career. And I've heard from, Cole Munson, his wife Alyssa, who's a big Brewers fan. said her interaction with Ryne Braun was awful. Like, he was just a jerk.
Oh, I bet.
Apparently. So I think a lot of ill will towards Ryne Braun for sure. But yeah, I don't think he will. Matt Kemp, I really liked Matt Kemp as well when he was playing. So I'll go with those guys, Voldy. I think they're deserving. But I would like to see those guys get in. That'd be great. So Voldy, who do you got?
Yeah, like I had said too, a lot of names, none of them really overly jump out to say, oh, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure.
Right.
Maybe in the next couple of years, we'll see a little bit of rise in some guys. But of the new names that are thrown out there, Cole Hamels is one that certainly jumps out to me. Of course, former World Series MVP, a competitive gamer for sure. Put up some numbers in his time with Philly. Then he pitched in, Chicago as well. Was a big catalyst is there for a handful of years. Pitched the end of his career with, of course, with Texas as well before finishing things out, and Atlanta too, pitching a no-hitter as well. Like I said, MVP for the NLCS as well as the World Series. That's a very surprising. That one kind of like of the notable names kind of jumps out. But another one that also kind of jumps out for sneaky reasons, I would say Hunter Pence. I don't know why, but just a guy that was a gamer. I mean, he always seemed to find himself in the back end of his career on teams that were always fighting to the very end. Of course, those championship teams that he played with in San Francisco as well, made a little bit of noise in the back end of his career, when Houston, then he went to Philly, then that didn't work out. So he goes to San Francisco, which was nothing at the time, but ended up being, a multi-time World Series champion with them, ended up playing in Texas a couple of times also with the Rangers, but that's a sneaky one. I don't know if it'll be within 3 years, but maybe it'll take some time and people will warm up to him. But overly huge numbers for these guys, kind of far and few between for sure. But of those guys, I could definitely see a guy like a Cole Hamels definitely be one to probably make it within 3 years for sure, based off of where we're at with some of these new guys coming in.
It's a good list. I like a lot of, I like a lot of the names, and just a quick update.
And definitely for sure, I forgot to mention as well, definitely for sure with the Ryne Braun situation, great player, dick of a human being for sure. Put him in, I hate to make the comparison, put him in the category of Curt Schilling as well. Great player, dick of a human being, for different reasons, of course.
Yeah,
I still think Curt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame every way because the numbers don't lie.
I mean, honestly, it was a great.
You
can't deny that from him. Honestly,
putting his foot in his mouth just certainly did not help one way or another for sure. But I think Ryne Braun's going to have an uphill battle. But again, he could have been great to the writers, but an ass to everybody else, and that could work for him. But it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I haven't heard good things, and it's a shame, really. To be quite honest. So, quick update. Just wanted to give you guys an update before we move on here. But Wolves are up 82-67 up over the Wizards. 5:18 left in the third. just win. That's all we ask. Just win. Just beat them. Don't lose this team. So, anyway. All right. Last one. Voldy.
Well, of course, we are turning our eyes towards Thanksgiving, but very, very soon we'll be talking baseball, of course, with the World Baseball Classic set to return in the early goings of 2026 in the month of March. Team USA is getting a few key reinforcements to add their name to the roster for Team USA manager Mark DeRosa coming up after a second-place finish in the previous iteration of the World Baseball Classic. Joining the ranks of Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, and Paul Skeens will be Chicago Cubs center fielder Pete Crow Armstrong and Arizona Diamondbacks right fielder Corbin Carroll that will be adding their names to the Team USA roster. A couple of young burgeoning stars for sure that certainly have been able to make a name for themselves in recent years. Of course, Corbin Carroll with the Diamondbacks 2 years ago, a big part of that World Series run team that they had. And Pete Crow Armstrong is only improving with each year that has go by in his young career on the north side of Chicago. Of course, both players had 30-30 seasons and finished in the top 10 in voting for the NL MVP this past season. But 23-year-old Pete Crow Armstrong and 25-year-old Corbin Carroll as well definitely add a bit of youth to that lineup to go along with a guy like Paul Skeens in the pitching rotation. But now with both these guys adding their names to the list to represent Team USA, is it absurd or approved? Will one or both of these players be a crucial part for Team USA's success in the World Baseball Classic in 2026?
Great question. I just want to quick throw one more update just because we have to acknowledge somebody. Our tribal chief has 23 points. Our tribal chief, Nazarene. So he's on a tear, man. God, I love Nazarene. He's just awesome. Wolves up 83-67. Anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I think both of them are. It's got my stamp of approval. I think the main thing with them is, being able to contribute as much as you did, when you're obviously playing in the MLB and whatnot. But I think adding more firepower, because like we've said in previous stories about the World Baseball Classic, that, teams keep adding a lot of talent too. I mean, you look at Dominican Republic, you look at, Costa Rica. I mean, those teams are always good. And you want to compete, right? You want to try and surpass those teams and whatnot. So you got to add as many guys as you can. I think I'd say it's got my stamp of approval. I think they'll be very crucial. The more, the better, to be honest. They seem, they're young guys, and they have a pretty damn good team. I'm looking at it right now. Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Skeens, the Skeener, and it's only going to get better. Who knows who they'll add next? But I think they're going to be key as long as they get her done. So stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you got?
Oh, I definitely see these guys being a big catalyst, especially for a guy like Pete Crow Armstrong, who is definitely trying to revitalize the Chicago Cubs organization as a whole. Ever since he came in, he's definitely been a little bit of a feisty, fiery young fella for sure, and definitely is trying to regain a little bit of traction there for the Cubs to be at least competitive for sure. But adding a guy like Corbin Carroll, who definitely has flown under the radar since he came into the league, but definitely had a real breakout year when the Diamondbacks made the World Series, of course, just a couple seasons ago, and still continues to be a very consistent player for them. I think that's absolutely huge, because you've seen what Team USA has done. They try to go for the big names and try to get the guys here that, some of them not exactly on the right side of their age for sure. Guys are getting older. We need to start working on some of these young guys to, maybe get that right edge, especially the last go around against Team Japan. And it came down to Shohei versus Mike Trout. Shohei won it. And well, now we're seeing dividends of it. Shohei is, multi-time MVP, multi-time World Series champion, and Mike Trout's looking for any way to get out of the Angels as fast as possible when fully healthy. I think this is going to be a huge part. I definitely throw my sway towards Pete Crow Armstrong for sure, just based off the feistiness that he has, and he can be a pest at the plate, on the base paths, defensively as well. I think Team USA definitely is off to a great start with the guys that they have fully announced, and hopefully more guys will definitely throw their hat in the ring for sure as we get closer to the WBC.
Yep, it's coming.
I love the WBC. When it first came out in 2006, nobody thought this was going to be a thing, and I followed through with it every single go around. We were supposed to have it in 2020. We all know what happened there. Then we had to wait, and now we've got it back here again. I think 2023 was the last one, and then now here we are at 2026 coming up, and it's going to be awesome.
I think Coach Paul Blanchard should be on the staff for the World Baseball Classic. beat Team USA. Just saying.
Hey, but that coaching staff they had last go around could beat anybody's ass for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the coaching staff this go around is going to be just as deep.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty good. So, all right, that'll do it for the ARA this time around. Great job as always, Voldy. We have a lot of Shield shoutouts to get to, so I say we just get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, we will start things off here tonight. We finally have a Minnesota men's teams championship of the Big Four. Sort of. It was over the weekend that Major League Baseball held its first ever MLB Open on the links. It was a golf event, and Minnesota Twins player Roycelewis and former Twins outfielder Aaronhicks teamed up and won the inaugural MLB Open over the weekend. So I guess we got to take what we can get here for the men's Big Four teams to bring home a championship. And I guess it's going to have to be baseball players playing golf during the off season.
Yeah.
Do have to send a shout out as well to Eli Hargis of Glove Reviver, a guy that I've followed for some time on Instagram, who definitely did me right for sure by giving my softball gloves an update for summer 2026 for the Chicago Bears softball team. They touch of Carolina blue and can't wait to get those bad boys broken in. And it's been great to see. A lot of people certainly approve of it for sure. And can't wait for softball for next season as well. To the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Canadian Football League on winning the 112th Grey Cup in Winnipeg. A little bit of a little backhanded play there as winning on their rivals' field this past Sunday. They defeated the Montreal Alouettes 25-17, just their fifth Grey Cup in franchise history, believe it or not. And a couple notable names on the roster include former Broncos linebacker and Mizzou standout Shane Ray and former Gopher Benny Sapp the third, believe it or not.
Let's go.
They didn't play; they were injured, but still, they were on the team roster. They got they get the Grey Cup as well.
Yeah,
so
we'll take
they're
it.
included on the team's roster. It certainly does count. So congrats to both those former players on bringing home a Grey Cup championship to the Rough Riders. And finally, here it is of note that former University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldog, South St. Paul Packer native, and guy that almost ended up playing on the same team as my brother DJ, Justinfalk, reached his 1,000th career NHL game just last night on the road as a member of the St. Louis Blues. So congrats to Falky, a guy that I have met before a few times. Got to chat with him and caught up with him on the links a couple of times. I wasn't golfing, but he was. But congrats to Falk on making his 1,000th career NHL game as a member of the St. Louis Blues. And that is going to do it for Shield Shoutouts.
Well put, well said, Voldy. Great job, as always.
Thanks, sir.
As well. And you know the deal, guys. Get those picks in. Get those picks in ASAP. And what are we giving away again? I can't remember. What was it? I think it was something along the lines of Sweatpants. Yes, sir, Bob. Yeah, Sweatpants. Get those picks in. Get it done right meow. As we would like to say here on the show. Make sure you guys get those done and going. You can win some stuff. So, with that being said, too, guys, we got the merch. We got plenty of merch. Like we said, the Sweatpants, if you just want to help out your boys. We have those new spanking new hats that Voldy showed us at the beginning. Vikings, Wild, Gophers, Cadets, just kind of more of a personal preference, and whatnot for me. But any who make sure we'll keep you up to date on those as well. And then we got the camo, we got the hunters hats, we got a whole slew of hats that you guys could possibly win and or buy from us. So let us know. We will take care of you as well. So make sure you guys talk about all the merch, the tumblers, the winter caps, the quarter zips and whatnot. It's pretty sweet. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic for the stickers, and thank you to our guy, W2 Performance, Will Rattel, www.w2performance.com. Will Rattel, I saw in a video, he was sitting down, like legit sitting down, and he's just pumping iron with no problem. I mean, I don't know how much he was putting on, but God, he's like a Greek god almost. I mean, it's just insane.
Good for him.
You know, shout out to our guy, Will Rattel. And then make sure you check out the Brotherly Ballers podcast, Tyler Hermann, Jack Vickers, for all your fantasy football needs. TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire Jr., our guy, doing some awesome stuff. Check him out on the socials. And check out our guys over at Popcorn Bucket List, Omni Entertainment, Nick Dahlhoff, and Rhino Myhrberg as well. Make sure you check out. They got a lot of stuff happening. Some big movies coming out this month, next month as well. Check them out on the YouTubes, socials, Omni Entertainment, Popcorn Bucket List. Check them out. So that'll do it for episode 261. Let's get that win, man. Come on, Vikes. We can do it. Come on, JJ. We still have belief. We still have belief here on MinneZona Sports Live. We're not giving up. We're not giving up. So, Skull Vikes, go wild. Go Wolves later tonight and whatnot. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. So, without further ado, as always, remember, folks, keep it in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.